Ladies and gentlemen, after we get a few people on the live stream, I'm going to discuss several reasons why I moved to the Philippines. And I'm going to also give a shout out to a gentleman who goes under the heading of Excelsior, who gave Daisy and I a gift, which was a considerable amount of money in the super chat. And what we do with the super chat money is what I'm going to try to do with any of the super chat money. So in fact, what I'm going to do is we're going to go out to a different restaurant and a different location on the island of Panglao for a dinner or a lunch or even maybe a breakfast with any super chat monies that we get or are donated as gifts to the channel. And that would be utilizing the super chat money in a beneficial way to the foreigners that watch our videos, and also even for the people on the island of Bohol, so that they can see the prices of restaurants in the area and what is available and what is happening to the tourist industry in Bohol itself. So if there are people here, it looks like there are 7 people watching, and if this live stream is allowed to go through, because after 3 days of no internet service, I called up our internet provider, Globe, and they said that the issues that stopped us from doing a live stream for the last 3 days have been resolved. So Peekaboo, who is always a positive member of our chat community and also on my videos, says, Rabbi, I saved your itinerary from yesterday if you'd like it. I can post it here if you like it. So we can incorporate that, Peekaboo, into today's live stream, because today is going to be a long live stream. I'm going to talk about a lot of topics. So what I'll let you do is you can post it, remembering that you only have 200 characters. That's why I posted it in so many segments. And then after I do today's topic, which is basically the 7 reasons I moved to the Philippines and what you can expect once you get here and why I moved from America, I would be happy to address any questions from that the postings from yesterday, which coincide with the topics that I'm going to discuss today. Now, I want to make you people aware of something. I grew up on the streets of New York City, so I have a little bit of a rough methodology in which to speak. I speak what I feel like speaking, and basically I speak the truth. Now, I'm not a professional public speaker. Actually, I write much better than I do. So please let Peekaboo put these postings up before anybody else comments. And if you make a mistake, that's okay too. But let Peekaboo actually put up the different postings from yesterday, and then I'll address today's topic, main topic, which coincides with yesterday's topic once again, in that there are many benefits to moving to the Philippines. Many benefits, okay? I have been trolled several times in the last few days saying, why did you move to the Philippines? Who are you? What are your financials? What's going on that makes you an expert in the Philippines? How many years have you been here? It's not how many years you do something. Some people finish high school in 3 years and graduate #1 in their class after only 3 years because they pay attention to the details. Some people go through college in 2 years and get a 4-year degree because they're more observational than other people, or they have a knack for observations in the field that they choose. Me, having the advantage of being in business in America for 38 years and writing my own contracts, makes me more aware and my observations more critical and of any situation. It doesn't matter that I live in the Philippines. I'm an observation. I observe people and methods. I observe culture. I observe people's traits. I observe these things because part of being as a businessman and a general contractor and a licensed excavation contractor and a licensed marine contractor, the only way that you can make money in those fields is to write a proper contract and to be aware of all the possibilities, and or at least try to be aware of all the possibilities. So being that I try harder, like Avis, we try harder. And so how many years I've been in the Philippines has nothing to do with my observations about the Philippines, because I don't just sit in a room and watch other people's videos. I go out and interact with people. And when I interact with people, I ask them questions about their observations. And my memory for certain things, it's much better than others. So when I asked somebody last night, a school teacher I met from the Netherlands and her daughter, a question, I remembered the answers. Although she couldn't nail it down to a particular word or why the trait exists in the Philippines, she understood it existed. But other people, now giving her a little leeway here, she's only been in the Philippines for a few days, but she understood the premise of my question. But given the fact that I've asked many, many, many other business people if they saw the same characteristics of the people in the Philippines, and they agreed with my observations, being that I have asked so many people the same questions, my observations, I feel, are more correct than someone who just watches YouTube videos, because I actually go out and interact with people. Now, that's something that most people can't do to any great degree, because they're just not what we call the New York people persons. Okay. Now, New York is a big city, and I grew up in a time where you needed to be on your toes if you were going to make money, and if you made a mistake, you lost money. So observation of details is important. So to answer that man's question, basically he was trolling me, but he had some legitimate questions in his trolling comments. He said, I would like to understand you, understand why you moved to the Philippines. It's a legitimate question. I would like to know how long you've been here and what makes you such an expert, which I just described in part. I would like to know, what are your financials? That's none of your business. My financials have nothing to do with my observations of the Philippines. And also other questions that were pertinent, but nothing that I would address in the comments section. And the reason is twofold. Number one, he didn't pose the question. He posed it as a sarcastic, left-handed, let's see, trap for me to trap myself into some sort of nonsensical answer. That's not going to happen. But he posed it in a left-handed manner as in an insulting fashion, and I don't appreciate those kind of comments. In fact, if you want to comment about anything and it's in a positive manner, I'll address those questions. I'll do it here, and I'll do it in person. If I was sitting down with you at a restaurant or a bar, I will address the questions if they're intelligent and they make sense. But I'm not going to be reduced to addressing a man with 13 subscribers or 10 subscribers. I'm not going to sit here and write out a detailed answer to questions that were partially none of his business, and also, like I said, left-handed traps to trap me into saying something that maybe somewhere down the line he could prove to be false, which can't be done, because I don't lie. That's one of the things that made me a little bit successful in business, is that people trusted my word to get through the business aspect of our relationship. People that didn't even like me personally hired me to do their job because they knew I was an honest man. And they would tell me right up front, I'm hiring you because of your skills and abilities and the fact that you've never had a complication with doing a job. You finish the jobs on time, you do it in a professional manner, and you clean up your jobs better than any other contractor that most of them had ever met. So I got hired because of my professionalism in construction, but my attitude was totally not consistent with somebody that might have a little bit of success. Had my attitude and my job performance been the same, I would have been a failed businessman pretty much from the get-go, but that didn't happen. Okay, so I'm gonna, good morning, Gary. Okay, Peekaboo, thank you. End of text. Peekaboo, thank you. So what I'd like you people to do, let me say hello to John Morrison. Good morning, John. John Parrish. Good morning, John. Michael McFarland. He just got the pop-up. No problem. You didn't miss anything. I'm going to redress everything that I discussed out because Peekaboo put the comments on the page. And what I'd like you people to do, while I give a shout out to a gentleman named Excelsior for the second time, is what I'd like you people to do is review the comments that Peekaboo put up on the chat window, and then take any of those comments or several if you choose, and pose a question in a manner that I can understand what it is that you want out of the possibility of living in the Philippines. And when I say pose it in an intelligent fashion, I mean, let's say you have medical issues and you want to move to the Philippines. There are some areas that are more beneficial than others. Most people that are retiring here are of an older, not middle age. Let's just call us old folk, okay? Let's address the question to what your needs are. Let's say you like scuba diving, okay? Tell me that you like scuba diving. Explain to me that you have 1,000 dives, 500 dives, 50 dives, and you want to get some experience about scuba diving in the Philippines. Let's say you like farming. I don't know much about farming, but I know areas that are agricultural in nature. Some are more beneficial to foreigners to live than others. But pose your question and give Daisy and I, Daisy? Oh, okay. Give Daisy and I an idea of what you want, and between Daisy and I, perhaps we can help you. But again, I'm going to give a shout out to Excelsior and tell Excelsior that his super chat money went to one of the most delicious hamburger meals I have had. Well, the most delicious hamburger meal I've had in the Philippines. And last night, Daisy and I, we traveled a couple of kilometers to Alona Beach, which I'm going to discuss in great detail in this I don't know what you'd call a dissertation on the Philippines, let's say. And we had Daisy had a chicken burrito, which was excellent.
Beef,
excuse me, a beef burrito. That's right. I wanted the chicken burrito, but I opted for the Outback Bar and Grill, or rather Outback Restaurant. There's two different names on two different menus in Alona Beach, which made a double quarter pounder from Australian beef with cheddar cheese, which was a real hamburger with real meat, something that's very rare in the Philippines. So if you want a great hamburger and you're near the Alona Beach area, just walk down the road where the tricycle will let you off, and about 300 feet on the right-hand side is the Outback Bar and Grill, or Outback Restaurant, where I spoke with several people and everyone enjoyed their meal immensely. So the food doesn't come from the Philippines. The beef is imported from Australia. So basically, I had the best hamburger I've had since I moved away from Florida. Because in Florida, you get great hamburgers at these small diners. This was a fantastic hamburger on a bun that was the dough was risen properly, had white onions, it had cheddar cheese, there was jack cheese on there, Colby cheese, excuse me. Um, and the ketchup was not the banana ketchup that you get in the Philippines made from bananas. It was probably Heinz. As close as I could nail it down to taste, it was Heinz ketchup, superb ketchup. And the French fries, I asked them for the French fries well done and the hamburger rare. I received the hamburger rare and the French fries well done. And we also got a side order of onion rings, which were probably the best onion rings I've eaten in many, many years. And that was from the Outback Bar and Grill, Outback Restaurant in Alona Beach. And again, I thank Excelsior for his gift of a super chat donation where I have promised people I would go to a different restaurant with their super chat monies. And he didn't want anything for it. Usually someone puts a super chat down and asks for a specific question, something off topic or something of the nature that's different than the topic. But this gentleman just wanted to know what was, he just wanted to donate. I don't know why he gave me as much super chat money donation as he did, but that money is going to not only last night's dinner, but another night that we're going to follow up at the same restaurant. I'm going to try a different meal at the Outback Bar and Grill in Alona Beach. So I'm going to scroll down now and see if anybody has a specific question. Okay. Let's see now. End of text. Anders, hi, Rabbi. I'm going to retire early. I'm 50. I'm going to go through these one at a time. I'm not going to read 5 and then transgress back and forth. Actually, Anders Streifeld asks if he can retire in the Philippines for $700 a month. And that was something I was going to address in today's dissertation about the Philippines as well. Yes, the answer is yes. You have to live simply, though. You can't live an extravagant lifestyle in the Philippines on $700 a month. And when I say extravagant, some apartment rentals, if you want to live, let's say you want to live near the ocean. If you want to live in a building with a security system, cameras, and possibly armed guards, you're going to pay $700 a month for rent. However, on that same block that typically that hotel exists on or resort, there are small houses that you can rent a couple of rooms in the back of the house for between $100 and $150. We're going to talk 700 US he talked about, so we'll talk US dollars. But $150 a month is 7,000 pesos. So if you lived comfortably and cooked your own meals and lived alone, $700 would be more than ample, bearing in mind some of the following costs. Okay, let's just round off your rent with electric at about $35 or $40 a month. No aircon. That's a fan and a refrigerator. So let's say it's $200 a month for your rent. Okay, you need to figure $60 a month on average for your immigration fee. So you're up to $760. Okay, now you're going to have some transportation fees. So let's say another $50 a month to transportation fees. Using local transportation, you can't own a car and live on that money. You might be able to own a small motorcycle, but then you have to amortize the cost of the motorcycle into your monthly bills. And the average motorcycle is about $2,000 now for a decent motorcycle. Used one you could pick up for $700. But let's just say you don't have a motorcycle and you spend $50 a month on transportation back and forth to the store. You're up to $810. Daisy, do me a favor, please. Close that screen so the light is not flashing on and off. Thank you. Okay, so after the $810, now you have to figure in your costs for food. My costs for food, and I eat 95% vegetables, for Daisy and I, are about 10,000 pesos a month, or $200. Could I live on $100 a month for myself? I could, as long as I was a vegetarian, excuse me, and which I basically am, except for that hamburger last night. But 95% of our meals are vegetarian. So, and only if we shopped at the vegetable market. You couldn't buy vegetables. So let's say you were a vegetarian with you eat meat once a week, a small portion of meat. Let's say another $110 for meat and vegetables. So now you're up to 200 plus 200 for rent and electric plus 60. I made a mistake before, but 200 plus rent and electric plus 60 for your immigration fees. Okay. So you're up to 260. Another 50 for transportation. You're up to 310. Another 110 for food. You're up to 420. All right. Now you have your other bills. Now you're going to need an internet connection. So that's another $30 a month. So you're up to $440 a month. You're also going to need water, which is only $5 a month at most. Okay, so you're up to 400. Let's just say $450 a month. That leaves you $250 a month if you want to go out for an occasional dinner. The average cost of a dinner in the Philippines, you can get away for a meal. Let's say you go out 3 times a week for a meal. Average cost is $5. So you're up to $450 plus $5 times 3 each week, which is 15 times 4, which is 60. So now you're up to $510 a month to go out for 3 meals a week. Now you're going to have other expenses. It's just that simple. You're going to want to go out for a date. So, but basically, to live a simple lifestyle without going out just 3 times a week, 3 meals a week at $5, which is more than enough, you're going to have $510 in expenses. But you also have to amortize into that. If you're not going to become a Filipino citizen or get married, you have to amortize in over the course of 3 years. There are other expenses for your immigration costs. One of them is you have to leave the country for at least 24 hours and maybe 48 hours by the time you go to redo your immigration. So if that's going to be airfare, that's going to be hotels in a foreign country, whether it's Vietnam or someplace else. So whatever that's going to cost, just not much, but you're going to spend $1,000. If you go back to your home country and it's United States, you're going to spend 2,000. So you have to divide that by 36 and figure that into your $510 plus another $40 a month for traveling. So you're up to $550. That only leaves you $150 to go out and have a date once in a while. So can you live here on $700? Yes, but you need to live simple and you need to have a rent under $200. I hope that answers your question. Tryptonina, in the mind. Okay, American versus Filipino women. Well, American women have become Americanized. They expect a great deal more from you than some people can provide in every aspect of life. So there's no comparison. Daisy has never asked me for any monies or any kind of extravagant gifts. Once she asked me for 100 pesos to buy a dress, which is $2. And once she asked me for chocolate. Okay. She did make mention she'd like to see her parents, and I sent her to the island of Mindanao for a month. And that whole vacation was very inexpensive. So a girl can go back, and Daisy works with me. So an American woman is not going to go underneath a backhoe or a track hoe or a bobcat and give me hand signals other than slipping me the finger, telling me take this job and stick it where the sun doesn't shine. A Filipino woman would. And I've seen other Filipino women, the woman who drives the truck for our water delivery. She's a Filipino woman. She helps with the truck and the monies. There are Filipino tricycle drivers. American woman's not going to drive a tricycle around in city traffic. Not many, but there are. So you really can't compare them. But Filipino women, in my opinion, and I had a lot of experience with American women going out with you for several months and then saying, Mike, would you buy me a Corvette? And I said, Lisa, we're buying a house. Okay, what do you need a Corvette? Well, I need a Corvette because my divorce lawyer, who she was getting divorced from another guy named Michael, my divorce lawyer promised me a Corvette if I went to Europe with him for 3 weeks. Meanwhile, I was engaged to this American woman, and we were buying a piece of property. We had a deposit on a piece of property, and she's planning on going to Europe with her divorce lawyer. So I don't think a Filipino woman is going to blatantly ask you for a Corvette, but my experience with American women was that they're too demanding. So Filipino women are a lot easier to get along with, and it actually doesn't cost that much. You can give to the first person who asked me a question, if you do have a girlfriend, you're going to have to give the family something, but not much if you're smart. You make an agreement with the girl that she's going to get X amount of pesos per month for the family. You have to figure that into your $510 budget. So let's say on the low end, you gave 1,000 pesos a month. So you're up to 530. So now you have only $170 left out of that 700 retirement fund. So that, I hope that answers your question. Mike Garza. Hello, Rabbi. Hello, Mike. Mike, I'm not married to Daisy yet. We're not getting married until after I have rooms in the hotel, and we're gonna have a proper wedding. I'm not gonna get married on a shoestring budget. We want to finish one thing at a time. But Daisy and I are gonna get married eventually. Okay. Anthony Bruno loves Heinz ketchup. I'm getting a Chick-fil-A with it now. There's only one ketchup in the world that's worthy of praise, and that's Heinz 57, baby. There is no other ketchup as far as I'm concerned. We get this Del Monte soup they put in a tinfoil bag. It looks like ketchup. It actually even smells like ketchup, but it doesn't taste like Heinz ketchup. Do I know about Earthbag Home? I actually saw about 15 seconds of an Earthbag Home where they just blow up a home and they put it on your property about 2 weeks ago. But if you want to leave some comments, I think it's a great idea with the new plastics. I haven't seen one in the Philippines. With the new plastics and rubber compounds and composites that they have mixed in with carbon fibers, they could probably make a hurricane-proof plastic home that you can nail down with some stakes. But I've never seen one. But maybe I'll look at a video about that later. Or for us, good Shabbos, Rabbi. Salamat. Shalom. Thank you and God bless. So, the trip to mind says get with a Filipina and just rent a room. Yeah, you can rent a room here in the Philippines for, like I said, as little as $150 with a roof over your head. You're not going to get aircon with that, though. So if the first gentleman wanted aircon, you're going to have to figure another $50 a month. So your $530 just went up to $580 a month with the previous costs that I said. Danny Gordon, well, yes, I'm doing well. You can see the progress on the healing of my foot. I still can't, even if I just drop my pants, when I change pants onto the top of my foot, the pain is excruciating. It has not healed. It's still good, but we're doing well. I can walk. There's no pain when I walk, but if I would ever drop a water bottle on my foot, I'd be out of work, out of commission for months. So I am just taking it easy. Thank you. Anders says, thanks, Rabbi, and shalom. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. And remember, I'm not I'm not going to ask you to join my Patreon account because that's an optional thing. But if you want real specific answers that I can help you with, or you want to talk on the phone because you feel that's a more personal method, you need to become a member of my Patreon account. One of the reasons I don't do live streams with people coming on, because I don't know who these people are. And in life, although I would go out to give a price for a contract for, and I would walk into thousands of people's homes over the last 38 years, literally walked into many thousands of homes. I'm actually quite a private person when it comes to inviting people to meet me at my home. I lived in Florida. I don't think I had 30 guests in 19 years in my house. I would meet them outside if in a restaurant, but so I don't bring people into my personal domicile, and I have my reasons for that. I can't tell who you are until I talk to you and understand your background. So for me to give out so much personal information in a chat window, that's not going to happen. There are several people that I have grown to understand and know a little bit in the chat window who I've called and talked to about very personal things that more personal than I would get involved with the chat window. But until I got to know you personally and you wanted to come, a lot of people say, I want to come and meet you. We just don't have time for that. But if you wanted to talk on Skype or on the telephone and you had a US number, I'd be happy to do so, but you'd have to become a member of my Patreon account, and that at the tier level of $10 or above. I need to be compensated for these personal conversations for my time. And in those conversations, you'll gain more knowledge and more ways to save money here in the Philippines than you would ever be able to get from gleaning through comments and most other people's videos. Now, there's a way to save on airline tickets. Okay, that was one of the topics I was going to discuss. You could save $700 on one airline ticket. Okay, if I saved you $700 on one airline ticket and you said, well, I don't want to become a member of your Patreon account, you only saved me $700 on an airline ticket, that's your prerogative. But I can save you between $300 and $700 on an airline ticket by giving you precise instructions via the telephone, and I can save you $150 a year or 7,000 pesos a year on just one other thing that requires an X amount of pesos to be spent a year. I can save you 7,000 pesos, or 7,500 is actually what it comes out to. But you people want to have these long, drawn-out conversations in a chat window. There are certain things I will not discuss in the chat window, or have already discussed in a chat window, or have already put in a video. Now, those things you have to digress to become a member of my Patreon account. But if I could tell you I'm going to definitely save you $200, and you became a member of my Patreon account at $10 a month, it's going to take 2 years for you to spend the $200 that I saved you, and you're going to glean a lot more information. So I'm going to go back to the comments. Danny with the Corvette. I'll never forget the day. I can actually tell you where I was standing and what I said. And what I did afterwards was I was actually in the lawyer's office on a staircase walking up to his office. That was one crazy woman. Filipino bound. Hello. Good morning. Okay. Danny Gordon. They might ask for the Corvette equivalent at ride on the bus with AC and a barbecue. American women have for me, the most bizarre request. You got to remember, I lived in a very nice community my whole life. Okay, I worked hard to pay those bills, but I had a nice boat, I had a nice car. They just look at you like you're an ATM machine in America, and they want what I had. I had just bought brand new Cobra. I didn't have this Cobra 3 days, and I dated this woman from Germany. And she asked me if she could borrow my Cobra Mustang. Okay, I had it 3 days. And I said no. And she got mad at me. I went to sleep, but I didn't actually go to sleep. She actually drugged me with one of those knockout drugs and then looked for money and turned my house upside down. So was that a ridiculous? Had I given him my Corvette, it probably would have never came back. But I mean, they believe, and she wasn't an American woman, but women believe that because you have something, and the fact that maybe one day they're going to sleep with you, because I did not sleep with this woman, I just dated her, she's going to get to borrow my Cobra? I don't think so. So, Philippines bound says, I would not recommend giving the family a regular monthly allowance. You know, that's probably the best comment that I've read so far, but I can't say it's 100% true with all Filipinos. As a businessman, I make agreements. I make the agreements and I keep my end of the bargain, but I also make stipulations and caveats in the agreement. That's what it is. There is no more. You got to go to the hospital. You need to figure out a way to get your own money to the hospital. Okay, till the hotel starts making money, then your hospital bills are your hospital bills. My bills to take care of your daughter or your sister or whatever they are my bills. Those are my bills. Those are your bills. Please don't ask for anything. So, is that being cheap? It's being realistic. So, Daisy's family asks me for nothing. Zero. Not a thing ever. Once the sister asked me for, I think it was 3,000 pesos. And the mother said she would reimburse me. And she did, Daisy's mother, because the mother didn't have the 3,000 pesos. And the mother reimbursed me for the money. So remember? How much? 500. Not 3,000. It wasn't 500 pesos. Excuse me. That was $10. Was that all it was? 500. My mistake. Someone else asked me for 3,000 pesos. It was a long time ago, and I get a little confused. But the mother did reimburse me for the money. So, but the best bet is to keep it simple. Don't offer money and just say no. That's not in my budget. Just say it's not in your budget. That's simple. So thanks, Philippines bound. Mr. Where are you going? Yep, he agrees. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Where are you going? Michael McFarland. We built one preschool after Yolanda in Iloilo. Okay. So you donated quite a bit to the community. That's very nice of you. And if you can do that, it's a wonderful thing to do. Me, personally, I'm investing into the hotel. So anybody that originally asked me for loans on my block, loads, I had security for the bigger hotels. I met a guy. I met him and he called me. He asked me for my number. And that night, after knowing him for, it's a long story. I lost a spear gun in the ocean. I asked him to help me find it. Gave him my telephone number. And that night he called me up and asked me for a 10,000 peso loan, which is $200, which would have been the equivalent of, I don't know, maybe 2 months rent. 2 months pay. So Filipinos will ask you for stuff, but then when you tell them it's not in your budget, they'll also understand. Well, tripped an Indian that's done Thermomane, you could build a house, yeah. But as far as, and host expat patriots, I like the way you posted that. You can't have a business here unless you're a citizen or unless Filipino owns it. So once you start talking about money, you're going to go to jail. So you have to understand there are rules. If you wanted a good lawyer, that would be something I would recommend only through my Patreon account. I can give you a good lawyer in Cebu or in Bohol. I could give you a good contractor in Cebu and Bohol. But those things are privately recommended and only for my Patreon members. Danny Gordon. Oh. Danny Gordon. Hey, Mr. Where are you going? Thanks for your videos over the years. Okay, so from Danny Gordon has usually great information, and he's stating that Mr. Where Are You Going has given many great videos over the years. So you guys might want to check out Mr. Where Are You Going's channel. Scott, we're going to go to the next comment. Scott Del Fuego. He's on vacation in sunny Southern California. Okay, good evening here, Michael. Good evening there in California. That's right. It would be 7 o'clock in Southern California right now. Glad to see you are feeling better, looking better. On Patreon, yeah, that video shows you how the wound is closing up. Thank you. Open nerve endings are growing back and sensitive. I guess that's what those red dots are. Open, yeah, because they hurt. If I even dropped a gauze pad on the top of my foot, God, brings tears to your eyes, Scott. Now, Scott's a Patreon member and been a long time Patreon member, several months. And Scott and I talk on the phone whenever he or I have free time. We shoot each other a message. And Scott will confirm that from his experience, the conversations have been beneficial to both of us. Scott was actually going to come to the Philippines in August, but once I went over the costs of the airfare and he checked on the airfare, he also helped me find out how to save money on airline tickets by giving me advice. Hold on a minute. One of my cameras just went on by itself. It's not supposed to do that. I don't know why. It's a nice camera, but if you say certain words, it goes on automatically. It's not supposed to do that, though. Okay. So Scott has gleaned some information from Patreon and knows that you can have an intelligent conversation about an intelligent topic. Okay. Now, thank you, Scott, for that information. He's also a lot smarter than me in many, many different ways. But you'd have to understand that from having conversations and also the way he writes. He writes like Shakespeare, okay? Every word has a meaning, and he uses some bigger words, which I understand, but words that wouldn't be in the normal person's vocabulary. So Scott is, well, it's probably because Scott writes up different various types of memos, let's say. So, Scott, thank you. Danny Gordon, if you have been a contractor for 30 years, you understand why I don't meet people in our courses. Well, as a contractor, I never didn't fulfill an obligation for my contractual agreements. Never. Never once was I taken to court for fraud or not filling my obligations. But I met hundreds, if not thousands of people that sat me down in their living room and fed me sandwiches and sodas and cookies and cakes and coffee. How's that possible? Mike? Oh, it's possible because, hold on a minute. My camera went on. It has an outside power. Okay. I met hundreds, literally hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Their whole intention was to figure out how to screw me, which is why I wrote down legitimate contracts. I put the details in the contracts. If you didn't agree to the details, and I actually, the last 20 years of my life, I actually charged people between $50 and $100 to write the contract. I'd verbally tell them what was in the contract over the phone, and when they asked me for a physical contract, I asked them for physical cash for the contract, because all they were doing was wasting 2 to 3 or 5 hours of my time so they could give the insurance company a claim of contract to make a claim, and then they'd have their brother do it, an unlicensed contractor do the work after a hurricane or a storm or damage from a car or something like that into the side of a house. So people that didn't want, I tell them right up front, it's going to cost you $100 for me to come to your house if it was more than 10 miles away. And those people would say, oh, I'm not going to give you one. Well, you don't have to give me $100. You just have to give me $100 if you want a written contract. Otherwise, I'll tell you what it costs over the phone. How big is the tree? 36-inch tree? Tell me where it is. Okay, send me a picture. Give me my email address. I give them a price over the phone to remove the tree, remove the stump, clean up the debris. If it was between, you want a price to remove a 60-foot tree between two houses, it's going to cost you $4,000. Okay, because now I need to get a truck, a boom truck. You want me to drop a tree in your backyard and pull the root out? I'll do it for $1,500 you pay for the containers. But to go up to rent a boom truck and 3 men and a chipper, if I need to chip it up, it all depends, but it would be in the contract. So, yeah, people are basically, they're looking for a bargain, and they're looking. I swear that people that I went to go give jobs to, after go give prices for contracts, I swear that their next conversation was with 3 or 4 members of their family. How can I work around this guy's price and screw him a little bit, if not for the entire cost of the job? So, and it is easier to walk out of somebody's, well, not for me. You